Hey everyone, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. I'm here for Crafty Maven Getaway Multiple Photo Love. Here is our mood board for the month of March, and I am going to go ahead and take that mood board into consideration while picking out my pattern paper today. I am using a piece from Pink Fresh Studios, the Felicity line, so it's quite old. However, it's one I've been hoarding because I just love it so much. Those birds are so adorable. And originally here I am thinking about using them along with this B-side of a Maggie Holmes Flourish line to create a layout about my daughter. I had a couple of photo options. I have these ones of her playing with a teapot thing. I also have a couple from Christmas that she's in this beautiful dusty rose pink dress, and it just really matched the kind of the mood that I was trying to create based off of the mood board. But instead, everything kind of goes in a bit of a different direction. I'm not loving the way that they're kind of working. Nothing's tucking in exactly the way I want it to. So I'm going to go ahead and grab just a different piece of paper, thinking a different pattern is going to work, but that's not going to happen either. And I just go to my go-to normal white cardstock. It tends to be what works best for me. And I flipped over this pattern paper so that you could see the kind of teal and yellow chevron type design that's on the back side of it. And seeing that gave me the idea to maybe instead of using the birds and all of that, I could go ahead and create some pinwheels. Now I'm doing them a little bit differently than I normally do. I'm going to kind of do it as a more like a quilted pinwheel than the pinwheels I make with dimension. And so I just cut a bunch of squares, and then some of those squares become triangles. And so each square, because there's 4 sides, so there's 2 sets of triangles that go to create the pinwheel, and I do them in a few different sizes so that I have something to play with. And I'm now thinking that I'll be able to create kind of a wreath of pinwheels, which is what that bottom left photo is a really pretty wreath. And so that's kind of where my brain is going at the moment. I just want to make sure that everything's laid out the correct way. I have all of my my angles at the right thing, because you have to make sure everything's pointed the same way. And I just go ahead and line them all up. Like I said, have 3 different size pinwheels at the moment, and I'm trying to make sure that they all fit on there without anything touching, like falling off the page, because I want it all to stay within the layout. I don't want anything falling off. And so I have to kind of play around and decide what's going to fit where. I do make it all work, but now that and I like it. I do like the way this looks, but I'm not really sure where to go from here. And so I just kind of hem and haw. You see me kind of moving things around and replacing them, and I leave it. Actually, I had to go walk away from it because I just wasn't sure where to go. And I have to remember the fact that this needs to be more than one photo, so I couldn't really just put a big photo in the middle, which was kind of where I was going with this. That wouldn't have really worked. So I had to think a little bit differently. And what I came up with was to grab some of my shimmers and go ahead and do the 2 bigger pinwheels in a yellow, and then the 2 smallest ones are in a pink, and then the medium ones I'm going to do in a teal, and just give them a little bit of a watercolor look. I felt like that would help. I could put I haven't glued down the pinwheel part of it yet, like the little sides to it. And so I felt like I could definitely go ahead and do that, and then glue down the middle parts and fussy cut out everything to place it onto a different piece of pattern paper. So this is kind of where my brain is going at the moment. I do leave in the mixed media part to it, and so you can just kind of see I just simply sprayed a little bit, added a tiny bit of water, dropped it down, and then left the paper and just used the paper to help guide me to create a circle. And then I work a little bit harder to create that, and I just really love the way that it looks. It's very controlled mixed media for me, and that's what makes me happy, because I can't do that crazy stuff. And the packaging technique with it's a struggle for me. There's days where it just turns out horrible. Some days it's beautiful, some days it's horrible, but this I am comfortable with. I can manage it. It doesn't go too out there for me. And so this is how I have been recently been doing my mixed media. So there you go. You can see the colors. The green got away from me a little. I think you can see that there. But once I put everything back on, it's no big deal. And like I said, I'm going to eventually fussy cut it all out, so you really don't see any of the mistakes other than that little pink one that has a tad bit of teal that got squirted onto it. And I'm going to go thinking that I'm going to go ahead and use this now onto a piece of Paige Evans pattern paper, which I originally bought for the A side of it, which is the 2x2 squares. But the B side of it is a very pretty blue that kind of matched I don't know, I felt like it went. And again, I like this, but where am I going to go with it? Like, I just could not, for the life of me, figure out what I was going to do. So I go back to the birds and I was like, well, maybe I can do the birds and create something else, because I hadn't glued anything down other than the triangles. And then I can use those for something else. I wasn't digging that. I messaged Daisy and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And she had made a really good idea that I could have tried, and maybe I'll go back and do it on another layout down the road, was I could have placed them on top of each other and made like a floral with the pinwheels. And I think that would have looked really neat. So I do think I'll go back and maybe attempt that, because I should have played with that a little bit, but I had kind of, once I said that to her, of course an idea came in my mind. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is use the tinier little strip of the bird paper that I had from my offcuts from creating the pinwheels. Line that up to the right hand side of the layout, and then I'm going to go ahead and take away the big yellow pinwheels. Now, like you see, I'm trying to make the wreath again. I'm like going back and forth, trying to decide what I want to do. I do go ahead and glue everything down, but it wasn't going to work. So yes, I go ahead, place that down, take away the yellow, and then create kind of a grid, off grid, with the teal and the blue ones. And that works really perfectly. And then I grab these photos I've had and have wanted to scrap for quite a while. I had them in two sizes, the smaller size and then a little bit bigger, like a Project Life type card size, the 3x4s, but this is the perfect size. And I kind of tuck them in between the little gaps, and then that is the way it's going to look. And I'm so pleased I finally have the base of my layout down and a place to go, because that's what took this whole layout. I mean, we're like 8 minutes into this layout, and I'm now just getting to the fun part. So it was a challenge, but I love how it turns out now that it's done. So sometimes you have to go through a process and just keep working at it until you find something that you like, because eventually you will come up with something. I promise you will eventually figure something out. So I went ahead and used 3 different alphas. I'm using that really fun teal sparkly one, and then my rose gold tiny alphas, and then the rainbow ones that I was able to spell out Rosie in a way that makes me happy. Don't worry, I fixed the S and the O. I switched them back around the way they're supposed to. And then for each one of my photos, I back it with a little bit of tissue paper just to have it soften itself a little bit. I have the photos in a bit of like an Instagram filter, and they're quite soft, and so I'm trying to think of ways to help bring in that softness. Plus the watercolor is soft, but I also want things to stick out. And my idea to make that work is to go ahead and take my black little Sharpie pen that I still need to replace, but it works well enough to do tracing that I'm going to go ahead and go with it. And I'm going to trace around each one of the colors, and that helps to help those stand out as well. Blends in the little strip that I'm using that's basically just black little florals. And I also go ahead and trace the word ring and the word Rosie in the black as well. And then I just add in a few more embellishments, and I'm basically using mostly Maggie Holmes stuff. I believe almost everything is, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out now. Like I said, the layout, if you can't tell by the title, is of my kids. They were playing Ring Around the Rosie, and my daughter this was right when she was learning it, and she loves to play this game, and so they would just go around and around, and then of course their favorite part is falling down, and they would laugh and laugh and laugh and then get up and do it again. And it was just a fun thing they were doing one morning, and I was able to capture it. Even though their action photos are not fabulous, they're still pretty darn cute, and I really love the way that they turned out. So thank you for going on this journey with me and seeing how it turned out even after I struggled. It happens. We all struggle, and this is just proof of it. And yet I really do love the way that the finished layout turned out. So there's a look at the finished product, and I'll see everyone soon with another layout. Bye!